What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Comeback Couples podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jennison, with
Kendra Jennison.
Again and only, because that's the only girl I'm gonna stay married to.
One and only.
So we got to get a couple things. I made a couple notes here. First off, what a week it's been, right? Our son's 13th birthday, teenager.
Yesterday, just turned 13. Holy cow.
Yeah, and we did a podcast last week talking about biological parenting and stuff like that, and now I want to actually touch base. I think you've only put it on the inside, right, Ryan? I don't think you know that it's on the outside yet, so you guys listen to this.
It's on Spotify.
Is it? Oh,
yep.
Okay. I don't know. I don't listen to myself. But I know that I've got feedback on it, and it's been really, really great. So it was kind of a nice segue into what we have to do. But at the same time, man, I just was going to share some stuff on here as we get going. So I was going to go on like a rant, but just fucking this morning was I angry as fuck. You know, I literally don't know why. I hit an hour window of just absolute rage where I was fucking swearing at people in the gym. Yeah, like a lady pissed me off. All she was looking at me and she was breathing a little hard. And I was like, damn, what the fuck is wrong with me? Right? Like, these guys are laughing. I'm like fuck going into lunatic mode. And I'm like, dang, am I back on drugs for a second?
Sometimes that happens to you. You go 98% of the time, you are a very even keel. I mean, you're an emotional man anyways, but those other 2%, it's just full blown, stay out of Mark Jennison's way rage.
Yeah, I was just like, I was violent and angry and frustrated, and it took about an hour, and then nothing was working right, and I don't know what the fuck was going on. But anyways, I brought that up because I think I know where it came from. Partially, two things before we get into the podcast. One, obviously, we put in all the work on Phoenix, right? All the fucking work. Every baseball game we've been to, football game, basketball. I mean, I know he only plays basketball now, but dentist appointments, haircut appointments, you know, bath, whatever, all the stuff you do at home too. For him, making his food every day, getting him up. I mean, he gets in the car this morning. He's like, man, I just love being home with you, Dad, because Mom makes me breakfast. All these little things. And then without fail, every fucking holiday, every birthday, I get fucked. We get fucked. And I think that was, you know, because yesterday was his birthday and I got to see him for like an hour, which is still cool, right? But really, did I get to see him for an hour or did I just do more of the work? You know, I got to see him for an hour on the drive to drive him to and from back to his mom's. I'm not complaining about it because I'm grateful that I get to do it, but it's like, dang, dude, you put in all the work and you always get short fucking changed. And then we sit down and have a conversation last night about Jade, you know. I got three things I'm going to talk about here before we get into it with Jade. And then I realized that, you know, I don't even know stuff. I didn't even come into bed last night until like 1 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that I was out sleeping on the couch. I probably dozed off for a little bit, but I was like watching TV and I was just frustrated because of what I felt in that conversation that we had. Not that it was my fault, but what I'm missing on. And the very reason of what was bothering me was I'm trying to set her up. She has more, how do I put this? She has more of me in her than any of the other kids or you. Therefore, I hold her to a higher standard and I'm watching her let herself down. And it's not her I'm feeling for her. Mm-hmm. Because I'm fucking frustrated for her because I know she can do more because I was in her shoes.
Right.
And I was sorting through that. I'm like, and what you say, you know, you need to be more loving and stuff like that. The way that I show the love is the love because I'm trying to get her to be a fucking warrior like I am, right? Because that's how I handle stuff. But I realize she's just a little girl, right? And it's nothing to do with Jade. It's me wanting to protect her. And I'm at the same time, I don't think I'm hurting her, but I'm just like, I can do better. So then I was frustrated about Phoenix and then that. So, and then my mind starts toiling about it. I start thinking about motherfuckers with their hands in my back pocket, your back, like just people that are non-value people that just seem to cling on us. So anyways, that's where that rage came from. And we're going to talk about that because the topic today is high value relationships. It's high value relationships require high value individuals. And I want to give some context to that. I'm going to explain what I believe a high value man is, and you could explain what a high value woman is and what that looks like. High performers, to have a high performing, functioning, loving relationship. The last thing I want to touch base on real quick was Bailey's muff dive.
You guys. We need to let these viewers know. My husband, every night Bailey likes to jump from her dresser onto her bed. Like that's like Dad's tucking her in, we're tucking her in, right? And then she's like, yes, I get to jump from my dresser onto the bed. Mark has taught Bailey and has been telling her that jump from the dresser into the bed is a muff dive. So every single night she's like, Dad, Mom, watch me muff dive. And he thinks it's hilarious, which, okay, it was funny, but now she literally...
Well, if you didn't laugh, she wouldn't have known.
Every single night now, she's like, watch me muff dive onto the bed. And Mark cracks up laughing, and she thinks it's funny because she's like, yeah, muff dive. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but you forgot the part that I have her do. I have her stand up there, put her arms on, go like this, dude. And she says it's a muff dive, right? So anyways.
I die a little inside.
So anyways.
I don't know what a muff dive is. Can you explain it?
Muff dive, go down, eat your grandma's box.
I've never done that, so I don't know.
All right, well, I'll have Bailey teach you. So anyways, I just want to bring some light and fun to this thing, because when we're doing these podcasts, right, I realize they're helping a ton of people. So I want to bridge some acknowledgments, especially for the women on TikTok. Why I say women is because, man, most of the men, I think we're talking to guys that are struggling with alcohol. We come to find out, like Ryan could give you stats, but like tens of thousands of women are tuning in and listening to this thing over on TikTok, asking for more and asking for more questions. So as you ladies hear this thing, man, we'd love to hear some comments. I'll do my best to respond back to him. You can respond back to him. Ryan, he runs the TikTok. He'll probably respond back, and we can make topics on that in here. But it's really cool to see. I just wanted to give some words of empowerment and encouragement to him. Like, a lot of the feedback that I've got is like ladies asking from the man's point of view, like, what made you change and why did you change? I don't want to touch base on that right now, but I think you're probably asking that question because you're in a relationship where someone's treating you like shit. And my hope for you is that you draw some standards, right? Because you deserve it.
Yes.
You can touch base on that for a second.
Well, let's kind of go back to some of these questions or
those aren't really questions.
Or topics of conversation, I should say. You said something about a high standard or high performing. What does it say? Yeah.
So the topic of the show is high value relationships require high value individuals. Right. What is a high value woman? An individual, obviously.
What is a high value woman? We'll start right there. So I think that's a super interesting question. The first thing that comes to my mind, the word you just used, is standard. I think so many women like the idea of saying that they have high standards for themselves, for their relationships, for their mothering, their parenting, their job, etc. I think they say it just because it sounds good, instead of actually truly setting the standard and living up to that. I think that's the first really big deal, or maybe point to touch on. I think another big, kind of to go back to that one question that woman had answered on or given you on TikTok, I think a big reason why you were able to stop the cheating, stop whatever. Yes, ultimately you made that choice. You were like, you saw me and the girls and you were like, all right, I'm doing this. I'm intentionally going all in, which is awesome. But I also think that you saw me and the high standards that I had for myself. And you're like, okay, like, this is not a woman to be messing around with. This is serious. She's fun. She's laid back, but she's taking care of what she needs to do. Single mom.
Well, I was just going to touch base and you could go on. Like, you didn't need me.
I didn't need you.
We're actually some needy, like.
What's really cool is you had mentioned Mark ghosted me for 2 weeks. We had gotten to talking. He was figuring things out in his life, and we had gone on a couple dates and things were going really well. They were fun. He was still dealing with stuff from a really toxic relationship before then.
Toxic life in general.
But what was really cool is after those two weeks, I didn't text him. I didn't talk to him. I was just like, well, dang, this kind of sucks. Like, if he doesn't want, I thought we were having a fun time and everything was going really great. Maybe I thought different. and then I texted him after those 2 weeks and I was like, so you're really not going to talk to me ever again? ? And then he's like, hey, can I call you in 10 minutes? Sure. Anyways, long story short of that conversation, I ended up telling Mark, I said, I don't need to be number one in your life. I said, so if you're scared or if you're nervous like that, I'm all of a sudden coming in and I need all the attention and I need you 24. I said, that's not the case. I said, I'm good with coming second or third in your life.
Yeah, you said third. Actually.
I said third. Yeah. And what's really amazing about that is I meant that. I was good. I was taking care of everything that I needed to take care of on my own. I loved myself. I loved where I was going in my life. I had worked through a lot of traumatic things that had happened before in my life, and I was working through it, and I was healthy and I was working out. I was doing it on my own. And then you came into my life and I was like, I just enjoy your company. I enjoy being together. I thought we were having a lot of fun. And in that moment, I know that you told me right after I said that I don't need to be your number one. I remember you saying like, oh, were you trying to pull some like reverse psychology on me or something? Because automatically then I shot to number one on his list and he was like, I have to do whatever I can do to provide for this woman. So kind of tying it all back up into standards and to answer that question is I was already for that level in my life. I was already holding myself to a really high standard of how I was living, how I was raising my children. And then Mark came in into that and we just kind of elevated that together, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'll touch base on that real quick because I didn't say that on that 3-minute response I put back on TikTok.
It's kind of fun.
But yeah, there was a pressure that was taken away because I'd only dated fucking takers.
Sure.
At that point, right? And because I was toxic, so they were toxic. I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully they listen to it. They suck at life. I no longer suck. But the reason I say that is because that pressure was gone when you said that to me. And I'm like, well, fuck, maybe now you can actually go all in, because even if she was lying, because I didn't know, you could have been lying, right?
I could have, sure.
Like, at least give it a shot. Right, at least give it a shot, and what you can learn from this. And I also looked at myself, and there's some men that are wondering if they should go all in on their relationships or whatever, they're going to build new ones or they're in ones. Like, I was recognized the fact that I could rewrite my history, right? So I'd already been doing all this work on the drinking and the building the businesses and just the way that I carry myself and my standards, and I'd built that stuff up. But the one piece of my life that wasn't really stable was my relationship. And I said, cool, I got all the rest of this shit done. I've been at this game for now, about 2.5 years. I hadn't drank, I hadn't drugged, I hadn't done any of that stuff. So now I'm like, okay, now I can actually enter into this relationship zone for me.
And I think it's really cool that you say that pressure was removed from you, because I think we can both speak. I'm very old school. We are very, I use the term old school just because I think that moving forward into this generation that it's not very common, but removing that pressure from you by saying like, I'm taking care of myself. I'm holding myself to a high standard. I don't need you to, I just need you to be there. I don't need all these things. I'm doing that. I'm mentally and physically and emotionally, I'm good. Like, I love myself and you loved yourself, or you were at least working on that, but removing that pressure from you. I think we can both speak, because I think it's happened, but like in younger relationships, we've both been married before. I have always had a little bit of an old school mentality of where I truly believe that the most important role that a woman can play since I've had children is being home and raising the kids. And I've always wanted that. And I think I put so much pressure in other relationships before, where I was just like, you need to be the man. You need to take care of your family. You need to go to have a job, go to work. You need to come home and love your wife. And I think that's really scary for a lot of men to be like, oh my gosh, they don't want to live up to owning that pressure. Pressure is a privilege. Right. It's a privilege to do that. But I think for a lot of the women and in TikTok and maybe some of the men, it's a really heavy pressure that they're living with, having to know that, oh my gosh, I have to keep a roof over my family's head. I have to provide, I have to protect, I have to do all these things. A lot of men can't handle that. And I can only speak from me, previous relationships, not that we need to go down that road, but they didn't work because they didn't want to live up to that. And my standard was, I'm going to hold my own. I'm going to do my own. But when I find a man that I see and I know has that potential and he is a true like warrior, leader, father figure, masculine man, like that was what I was looking for. And you had that. And I truly don't think I would have texted you, are you really not going to talk to me again, if I didn't see that in you, So I think that's really cool of you to say, like, that is a pressure that a lot of these men deal with. Maybe those girls don't see that. Maybe they're already putting massive amounts of pressure on them they don't want. And they're like, well, fuck that girl. Like, this is heavy and chaotic and I don't want to deal with that. But at the same time, men need to also rise up to the plate. If you're realizing that, you're sleeping with a girl every other week and your relationships and you suck at relationships and your job kind of sucks and all these things, it's like, maybe you should kind of step up to the plate and start owning some shit, and work on it.
100%. But what I really heard you say over there is that I am God.
You are my God. And
No, for real.
I will literally worship him.
I just said that to be funny, but so number one, as a high value woman, right, to build a high performing relationship. And I think that, I think of everything inside of life. Everything needs to perform. Your business needs to perform. Your, relationship needs to perform. I like fast cars. I think a fast car needs to perform. Like everything needs to perform. But what else is it? Is that just it to make a woman? Just one thing as standards, or what? Because I have three things.
All right. So what are your three things?
I have three things that I believe every male needs. Right. And it's interesting because not everyone thinks like me. Right. Kevin and I were doing our Google demographic like breakdown yesterday. And I wrote down like all this type of people that we help. And I realized that like who I am and who my clients are like the most hated people in America right now. Right.
White middle-aged millionaires.
Yeah, pretty much. They fucking
Republican.
Yeah, they just like freedom and have money. And anyways, there's three things that I believe it takes to be a high value, high performing man in a relationship. Number one is you have to have integrity. Right? If you say you're going to do it, you have to do it. Like everything. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean times you're going to fail. And when you say doing it means you're going to do it, it means you stick with it. You're consistent inside of it. Like you literally show up to the plate every day. You swing the bat. You might strike out, but you swing the bat, but you keep going. You don't deviate from the plan. That doesn't mean that you don't take different routes to get where you need to be because things don't always work out. But the integrity of what you say, of what's your word, without your word, because I had no word. Right, my word.
Your word was shot to hell.
My word was shot to hell. My what's that called? Reputation, if you will, was shot to hell. Right. The only thing I had was my confidence, really. Luckily, but everything about myself was to be able to recreate by building integrity into everything that I do. And that could kind of come to bite you in the ass, like it does sometimes here. Sometimes I do things way too nice. Because I have so much integrity and care too much about people. But I think that a high performing male, a guy who has value and brings it into a relationship, to have a great relationship, needs to have integrity, and that's in everything you do. Yep. Right. But in this topic, relationship, you must have integrity inside this. Number two, you need to be able to protect, like at all costs. Mm-hmm. Financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I will fight anybody. That doesn't mean I'm going to win every fight. That like there's guys out there that are trained killers, but if they're hurting and putting my family in jeopardy, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm not going to just let anything bad happen. I see something happening. If I see a woman getting hurt or I see something bad out there on the side of the road or whatever happens, I'm going to do something about it. And I think that protection is a piece of men that they're so afraid of because they don't have that integrity and they're afraid of what if and what people think and what if I get my ass kicked or what if I fail, yeah. Right? So they just fucking look the other way, or they get out their cameras and they just videotape stuff instead of actually doing something about it. The third thing is you need to perform, right? Mm-hmm. You need to fucking perform. I think of, and I'm not just talking about financially, but sexually, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, all these things. You need to perform on every level and take it with fucking severity. Like you have to, you literally, for me, I'm obsessed with every little thing that we do. But I also know that my obsessiveness can fuck people up. So I can stay obsessed and figure out how to have integrity so it doesn't hurt people. I've had to learn how to manage that. But in the relationship, why was I angry this morning?
Right.
Because I'm obsessed and I want to perform better. Why was I calling Jade today to tell her I love her before she went? Because the conversation we had, then my fucking phone won't work. So then I'm even more angry, right? But it doesn't mean I can't do something tonight when we get home. But you need to perform. You need to fucking like, this was my first thought. Well, my first thought every morning is how do I be better today than I was yesterday? But you can't call yourself a high performer if you've never done anything to perform at a high level. You can't just call yourself a high performer. The marketplace, your relationship, your bank accounts, your friendships, all that shit dictates if you're a high performer.
Right.
Right? I walk around pretty humble for what I do and who I am.
Yep.
But I perform high in every level.
I really love that high performing. I think for women too, those are excellent 3.
There's probably more, but those are what I think that I bring to the relationship.
100% you do every single day. I mean, even back to the protection one really quick before I go on my little rant, but even last week I coach our daughter's soccer team. It's U8, super little kids. Anyways, there was
The Squirrel Canes.
The one of the head refs, if you will, stepped up to me.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
And had said something to me about I needed to pay the young gentleman who was reffing our game. And I explained very nicely to him that I did not get the envelope. I'm just a volunteer coach. I will get the money to the kid. I already emailed the lady who handles it, yada, yada. And he gave me such an ugly, rude ass response. And you literally right there were like, I don't know who the fuck you are to think that you can talk to my wife that way. And I was like, okay, we just need to like, but still, it's one of those things where it's like, excuse you, that's my wife right there, so you take up, that's just one small sliver.
That goes back to even, so yeah, that's like the protection and performance piece, but back to the integrity piece.
But it's all the time, I think is what I should say. Like all the time you are in protective mode. It's not just when it's convenient. Like
and I'm in integrity mode. Like if I was that dude coming up, I'd be like, hey, so this kid didn't get paid.
Right.
What do we got to do to figure that out? Do you know what's going on? I'm not coming up fucking wearing too short of shorts and my fucking gut hanging out and I fucking haven't been to the gym and I can't see my toes. I'm gonna try to fight a woman.
He was really trying to fight.
He listens to this.
But I really love that I love those 3 and I agree. I think from my point of view, definitely high standards is one. I'm a stay-at-home mom 99% of the time. I do help in Mark's business here and there with some things, and I love that. But my job is to be a stay-at-home mom. And again, I see it so much in today's generation of moms who are my age and younger that they're so depressed. And I see all these memes that are going out across the internet that are like, if you just get out of bed today and your kids are alive, then that is enough. You are doing a great job. And that shit makes me cringe. It makes me cringe and it hurts my heart because that is such a low standard to live by. Now, don't get me wrong. Being a mom has its challenges. There are going to be days where, yes, getting out of bed and keeping your kid alive is enough that day. But to go every single day and to live with that, and then all these statistics coming out of women who are just severely depressed or on antidepressants, and well, no fucking wonder. The standard that you have set for yourself and for your life is so low that if you just get out of bed, that is good enough for you. That is not good enough. My entire life, our entire relationship, I have set such a high standard for myself.
What does that teach the kid? So
that's what I'm saying.
Like, what does that teach? I mean, my routine, obviously, the kids don't get to see it. The girls don't get to see me in the morning because I have to go get Phoenix and I have to do all this life before they even get out of bed.
Right.
But like, I'm up. I'm in my gym clothes. I've got like everything dialed in, ready to go. I do my thing. Mm-hmm. And Phoenix is the first one to respond to that. And he like mirrors that every day in his life. Right. But thinking about like from the woman's point of view, especially having daughters, like what does that do when you don't have any goals for yourself?
And I take it to that severity. Like if my girls grow up and they want to be CEOs and start businesses and companies, great. I love that. But if all they want to do when they grow up is also be an amazing stay-at-home mom, I take that extremely personal. And I'm like, listen, if you're a stay-at-home mom, Your house is going to be spotless. The laundry is going to be done. Your husband and your kids are going to be fed with the best food, the most nutrient dense food. You're going to be at every event. You're going to be at the appointments. You're going to be here. You're going to dress well. You're going to keep yourself healthy by exercising and doing these things. Like I really take that to heart about the standard that I am living by for us, but for our kids. And to kind of type, I think that there is such a lack thereof standard in today's society where it's just like, you know what, if all you did today was feed your kids chicken nuggets, just be happy that they were fed. And I'm like, no wonder you are sad and heartbroken, because somewhere deep inside of you, you know that you can be doing better and that you should be doing better. But you're allowing average, low standard infiltrations to literally infiltrate your mind, and then you're telling yourself that's okay. It's not okay. Now, again, that doesn't mean that you won't have hard days. Yes, you will. But to go into that every single day by just telling yourself, you know what, you don't need to exercise. You don't need to do this. You don't need to. I just am like, it's like a poison that is just running through society. There's so many less than 30-year-olds, and because I'm 30, just so many women who don't go to the gym. They don't care about, they don't have a home cooked meal for their husband. And like I said, maybe that sounds really old school to a lot of people on here, but that is what I provide for you. You know that you can walk into the house and it's going to be spotless. You know that you're going to have a home cooked meal. You know that your kids are taken care of. You know that they're clean. You know all of these things where that is a high, for a stay-at-home mom, that's a high standard, and that is a high, what's the word? High
value.
High value. I'm providing high value in what I do. I'm doing it the best to the highest standard. You know what I mean?
So standards, I mean, we've done multiple calls on standards, right? We could beat that thing like a fucking red-headed stepchild, but
that too.
But I want you to talk about some of the transitions that you're going through right now, because I think there's your standards, and your standards are actually rising up, especially as we're doing this and people are listening, and the voices. I mean, Kevin used, told me that last night. We were out walking. What did you tell me, bro? Live through the lens, I think was the words you told me about. Some guy told you that. And so I brought that home, and I was talking to her last night because Kendra's been on this thing where she's, looking. We didn't like to show off the highlight reel of our life because we live a very authentic life. But I said something to you the other day that, listen, baby, we got I'm already, I know I'm always going to look good, but I don't know about you. I'm just kidding.
You never said that.
I never said that. But you're young, and we're successful, and we got, let's own it. We walk around this field, and I wear gym shorts and you wear gym clothes, and it's cool. There's a time and a place for all that, but like the importance of showing up. And when Kevin said living through that lens, it's not so much about being show offs. It's about actually, it was brilliant what that guy told you and what you told me last night. You start moving and creating the life that you want to live, and you actually do that. That's what I preach and I teach. But when you bring something to the camera, you want to show it. So it's not really a highlight reel. It's actually what you want to do. And it forces you to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then,
that was it's a really hard for me personally. I have never been a big social media person. What you see on social media is so far from that's not even 1% of my life. It's such a small, and I really have such a hard time, and I really pride myself on when I do show, what I do choose to show. I want it to be super authentic. I want it to be of my kids. I want it to be of my husband. I want it to be me, which 99% of the time is no makeup and just in gym clothes. And we had a conversation the other day we were in the car. I forget where we were going, but I told you, I said, I felt bad, and I felt sad for you and for me, because I know I can be really beautiful, and I know that I can be very sexy, and I know I have a lot of these attributes that could help, and that I should be showing off. And I use maybe show off's not the right word, but live behind the lens, because you had said it's such a short window that we are in our youth. It is such a short amount of time, Kendra, and your business is already online. Like, we have to, quite literally, that is how we make a living. That is how we live. And I told you, I was like, I'm really sorry because I don't feel like I've been doing a good enough job showing that to the world. Like, I've been hiding instead of blossoming into what I know could help.
My take on that, as like a high value man, like I could give two fucks about, like, I can make money shining shoes. So it's not about the money or anything like that.
No, it's
like,
not about that at all.
What I'm trying to say though is, and why I led you down that road is because it makes you feel good. And I think you be squandering your opportunity, your time. It's
exactly.
Fuck me for a minute, right? Like,
much like those stories that those moms might be telling themselves of, like, it's just good enough to do this. I was doing that to myself, just being like, okay, well, these are just good enough. This is enough. When really deep down inside of me, I'm not living up to that potential, into that life that we should be living. It's so many different levels to everything in life, to being a high performing person. It's not just this is it and this is, then you're a high performer. No, it's like you get there and then you're like, oh, holy smokes. Like, there's a whole 10 levels above that. And I just am like, we are inching our way. But it's not just an overnight thing either, you know?
And what I want,
and there's a lot of internal battles that you'll probably go through.
And I want everyone to understand, man or woman that's listening to this, it's not about what you wear, how you dress, the pictures you take. Right. It's about the fucking thought behind it and the way you think about yourself. And that was really what I was after. I believe to have so all these attributes as a male, you know, to be able to stand in integrity and lead with integrity and protect and perform, you also have to have a feeling of think and a desire to go and grow together, which is what you can't build you build a dynasty, right? A dynasty of, like, sports, like the Chicago Bulls. They built a dynasty by winning and staying on top, winning and adding better players and adding more and climbing these levels. And that comes from having a bigger mindset and better optimized life. The relationship is the same way. I look back to when you started dating me, you know, and we weren't rich. I was in the grind, and I was like grind like a motherfucker, and still am, right? We still are. It just doesn't look the same anymore, right. But it's still a grind every day, and I enjoy it and I love it because it's what we do. But you wouldn't even spend $10. So I had to, and it's and you don't come from a bad family, like from a broke family.
I grew up just fine,
but there was beliefs that you had. Because and back to what we talked about earlier, like you were doing it on your own, right? But what you were going to do if you continue to do that was just tread water.
Yes.
Right? Just tread water. Just tread and be proud of it and proud. There's a woman out here right now that needs to understand, and a man out there right now that needs to understand, like, you just need to think larger. Like, fucking larger. Like, don't be afraid to dream.
Even still, yes, dream larger and do that for yourself. But I can only speak for myself when I say this, but such a big part of why it takes me so long, maybe not so long is not the right word, but why I'm scared to, like, still step into, like, sometimes stepping into that next level is scary. And for me, why stepping into that next level is scary is because I'm afraid, and I'm afraid of what my family is going to say. I'm afraid of what my old friends are going to say. It's like, oh, here goes Kendra. Now she's got a lot of money and her and Mark are doing all these amazing things. And it's such a battle because it's like, I don't want to be judged by all of a sudden having everybody look at me like, oh, she just thinks she's better than everybody else. But in reality, if you could just be proud that I'm leveling up and be excited for me. And actually my true and closest friends would be so proud, and they'd be like, hell yeah, girl, you taking us on vacation too, you know, like, and my mom and my sister, they would be so proud. But having that, like, fear of being judged for leveling up is you don't give a fuck. You're like, I'm fucking going here and I'm doing it. But for me, it is a thing for me. It's like, oh my God, here's Kendra, who's always been so safe and so whatever, and she's just a mom, and now all of a sudden she's wearing sexy clothes, and she's going and she wears all these, like, name brand things, and she's going on yachts, and she's going, and then I'm like, oh my God, what are people going to say about me? Right? When in reality, I should stop giving a fuck. I should be proud. But still, and I am, but it's just a battle. Like, that's a battle for people in itself.
And this is probably more for the listeners because you already know these things, but like people are going to talk shit anyways.
People are going to talk shit anyways. They do talk shit anyways.
They already are talking shit, right? So like just you choose not to listen or to listen. The problem is it's the core people that you love and you want them to be happy for them. And there's a lot of people that are happy, but they're unfortunately, and this is for a lot of people, they need to understand, like people want to see you do good, but not better than them. And that is sometimes just their limiting beliefs. And
that's a battle that I personally go through.
They want to see you live life. Like they want to see you do good. I want to see you do good. These other people on our team want to see you good. Well, my point is that it's about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Right.
Because they have goals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know you guys got big ass goals too.
And if you look at the people that talk shit, they stop dreaming.
Right.
They don't have goals. Like they don't have goals. They don't believe it.
And thankfully I have you to like, when I do share these things, when we do go on our walks after dinner every night and I do talk to you about these things, you're like, you pull me out of that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. F that. Watch me go do this, And so you do give me confidence in that way. But even for, I think there's probably a woman who's in that same position where she's leveling up in her life and maybe she's not breaking free.
It doesn't have to be to
the high standard that she knows that she can be because she's afraid of what people maybe the closest to her are going to say.
Like there's levels of this shit. It doesn't have to be, I'm just going to share your journey from what I see, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, yes, you've got to fly private. Yes, you get to go on jets. Yes, if you want a Bentley, I'll buy you a Bentley, right? Like whatever, if that's really what you want, I can do it. But there was a time when you would there's a woman out there in the gym right now who's thinking about buying that Gymshark shorts and shirt, and it's a little bit of money, right? And I don't know how much that costs, but like it's more expensive than what she's been wearing, and it shows off her ass a little bit differently, and it's tighter on her, and it's gonna be a little sexy, but she's nervous thinking about people are gonna think, our guy's gonna judge me, am I gonna look fat, am I gonna look whatever the fuck is going on inside of her mind. And I watch your journey. You'd be wearing these old ass Nike green like soccer Umbro looking shorts when you first started working out, in these ugly ass blue shoes and like a t-shirt, and then slowly over time as you progressed through the growth of like watching us live a little bit better life, finally you're like, you know what, now I'm gonna get some Flagner Foul, and then now like your whole arsenal of gym clothes is like expensive and nice things, right? Because it's what you want, but it's not about what the things are, it's about the mindset shift that you deserve them.
Yes. Right.
And that's what a man and I know we're talking a lot about the women because they're paying attention. This is universal for dudes too. It could be a car, right? It could be that for me right now, it's looking at Kevin, Ryan, myself, they're behind the scenes here, but like we had a meeting about building the business. And then I literally think I text Kevin afterwards. I don't even know if we need this thing. Right? Or I said it to him, I don't even know if we fucking need this.
Right.
But need it or not, is it what I want? I do deserve it if I want it. And so do they.
Yes.
And that's, and looking at what a high performing and high value relationship, it has to have standards. It has to have something to go on. And why I think that a relationship that performs well, and this is another side of it that we just completely, I think, take for granted, but it's something we do so well, is communicate.
Yes, definitely.
Right? And it's not just communicate on like, hey, this is where I'm going to be, this, and whatever, give you a kiss, I'll see you later. It's about fucking performing even in communication. Verbally, non-verbally.
I would say that you and I are like excellent communicators in every way. Actually, like there's nothing, whether it's verbal, non-verbal, any whatever type of communication, you and I are like, we're right there with each other. And that took practice, I will say. It's not just something that was like right off at the beginning. You were kind of right when we first started getting together so this is almost 5 years ago now, but you were kind of reserved. I felt like you were nervous to kind of speak some things.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust issues.
Yeah, massive. Right? But that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I wanted you to know. But that goes back to going all in. Like that lady asked me on there. I had to go all in. I had to get over it. And also, like the hardest one for me, and even sometimes I catch it, like in the morning, you're like that walking zombie mode, and I'm still in there making my coffee, but you've been getting up a little bit earlier, and you'll walk up and like I hug you. Sometimes I hug like straight up and down like a fucking 2x4 because hugging is foreign as fuck to me. I never let people touch me. It just not my thing.
We hug probably like 30 times a day.
But it's a form of communication that you need.
Yeah.
It's how it's and like
every morning
I find myself like stiff as a board like this, and I have to like relax. Like I'm like I'm like all fucking tense, and I gotta just like breathe down. And like It's those type of things that I know are important to you. And it's about being cognizant of the fact that like, yo, I'm not perfect. I need this relationship to perform better. And if it stops performing, and that probably comes from winning. Right? I want to win at everything.
Every single day, my husband asks me, what can I do? What can I do better for you? Or what can I do better?
Yeah.
I mean, you literally ask me that every single day.
All right. I pretty much ask Kevin that too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he does too, right? Every single day. Well, what can I do better?
What can we do better, man? What
can I do better for you?
My two
what can I do?
Stop asking.
You can stop asking and just enjoy the moment now, bro. We got shit to do.
But yeah, I think we just take our relationship very seriously. We're very intentional about everything. We want to be those high performing people. So we do. We keep leveling up and we keep going and we keep going and we're like, okay, we got to this level. Now what else can we do? Part of it is just you have to want to be a high performing person. If you don't want to, then like I said at the beginning of this podcast, it sounds good to say that you want to have all those things, but are you actually doing it?
And are you willing to work for it?
Are you willing to work? Are you willing to work for it?
Dave said something the other day. We had a good conversation. We went to lunch or coffee or something and talking about how I want to make everybody millionaires around me. Mm-hmm. And he says, bro, if they don't have the desire to want to be a millionaire, what are you doing?
Right. I'm sure everybody in
and
your
I'm
team
just so fucking like, I can do it for you guys. We can do it
for
like,
them.
let's
Yeah.
do it. Like I would say these two guys have it, especially, Ryan's learning, I think, but Kevin has it. Right. Mm-hmm. And, when I heard that, I'm like, man, it's not just about being successful or being a millionaire. It's about like, do I actually want to be do I want more out of life?
Right.
And I guess more out of this relationship. So, I know I got to get on another call here. Do you have anything else you want to add to this one?
No, I think that was a pretty awesome podcast today. Kind of covered a lot. I feel good about it.
Got any new orders of clothes coming in?
Yep, I do. I've come a long way from ordering nothing to almost getting packages every day, guys. I'm just kidding.
Amazon.
Hopefully you guys have 400 viewers.
Really?
Oh, that's cool. What up?
Well, let's wrap this thing up because I know we need a call to action. I think we put it on here. I want to say thank you guys to all of you guys that guys and gals like finding this new audience of women. I will make this clear. Do not DM me. Well, I'm not going to respond. Ryan, he's single. You can talk to him. He's looking. He's behind the scenes. Check him out right there. Art and Digital. But he runs the I'm a Comeback. Single and ready to mingle, but you need to be in Wisconsin because we need him here to do work. So don't take him out of here. And but for real, for all you men and women out there today, it's always fun doing these things. I think it's helping me personally look deeper into evolving, being better, performing to help a different angle of people. I can get right in a man's face and be like, yo, not a beta male, but like a type of male who want to take another. Alpha males don't call themselves alpha males, but I know. But like guys who believe that they can do something, those guys I can get in, we can be direct, we can make it happen. It's nice to bring a different approach to a different audience and see that it's actually benefiting them, because what that means is all the hard work that I've done and you've done and we've done as a couple is actually transcending over into a new audience, and we have nothing to sell them. We're only here to provide value to them. And I hope that if you got value out of this episode or any of the episodes, that you will share it and go follow us probably on YouTube, I think, right, Ryan? Go follow us on YouTube. So that's it for today's episode. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. See you next time.
See you later.